Hey, hello, leaders. Hey, this is Paul Grau Jr., and welcome back to Run to Your Leadership Challenges. Hey, today I want to talk about something that I was reminded of the other day because I was reminded that sometimes, as leaders, we really talk a really good game and then we do something else. And I caught myself doing this the other day when I told my son to pick up. It was just before dinner time, and he's like, I said, "Hey, can you clean off the table?" And he's like, "Yeah." And then I asked him 2 or 3 times, and then finally I just picked it up for him and threw it out, and then later I kinda yelled at him and said, "Hey, you didn't even pick up your lunch stuff, and then you just blew me off." And then I looked down, and here I had my lunch plate sitting next to my computer, and I was like, "Whoops." And I kind of felt bad about it. And he saw it. He saw me see it. And he's like, "Yeah, you didn't take care of yours either, Dad." And I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry for yelling at you, but we need to do better there. And that made me think about, we can make these policies and standards and we can tell our people what we want them to do. And we can tell our team members or we can ask them or our family members to do certain things. But if we're not doing those, they're not ever going to do what we ask them or tell them to do because we are what we do, not what we say we're going to do. We may say that we're going to do a whole lot of things and we don't do them. And the people around us, if we are influencing them in any way, shape, or form, they're going to follow our lead. They may be saying something like, you know, "Hey, you're saying all this, but this is what you're doing." And they're going to follow you. Just like my son the other day, he caught me not putting my plate away. And then who am I to yell at him or question why he didn't put his away? And it gets it gets tough at times. I get it. We don't do things all the time, but as leaders, we need to make sure that I think I did the right thing by when he saw me and saw that I hadn't taken care of my plate. The first thing that I did is I didn't try to make excuses. I didn't try to hide it. I just said, "Yeah, you're right. And I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have yelled at you, and I should have taken care of my plate." And I took care of it right then. But a lot of times when we're caught doing something like that, we make excuses. And again, that's another thing that we're doing. And when we ask our people if they made a mistake or why they did something wrong, guess what they're going to do? They're going to do exactly what we did, not what we ask them to do, not what we tell them to do, as far as, be accountable to yourself. Well, if we're making excuses when they catch us, they're going to make excuses whenever we catch them doing something wrong. So, the best thing to get people to follow policies and really get them to adhere to things is lead by the right example. And I don't like the term lead by example because if you think about it, everybody leads by an example of some kind. Some are good, some are bad. I always say lead by the right example. And of course, I've done a podcast or two on that before. And, then it brings into question what is the right example? And that's something that needs to be defined right in the beginning. Performance feedback, for example, the most important thing about performance feedback is making sure that you and your employee are on the same page. The employee has to understand what needs to be done and what's expected and what they're going to be evaluated on. If they don't understand that, man, you have nothing to go on. And that's where all the subjectivity comes in when we talk about performance reports and annual reports. I want to talk about that in a podcast probably next week or the week after, but I'm going to do a series on performance management and talk about that because I'm teaching a class this term and we're using a new book. And I'm really liking this new book. It's a lot of things that, a lot of different perspectives that I never thought about before. So, anyway, just think about doing the right thing today. And we are what we do, not what we say. And if you say you're going to do something, just do it. Let your word be your word. Your word is very important because that's what establishes trust and truth and integrity. And Jen, my wife, she reminds me a lot about, if you say something or say you're going to do something and you don't do it, man, you kind of get out of integrity with yourself. And if you do that, don't make excuses if somebody comes back and calls you out on it. Just accept it and say, hey, I'm sorry. I screwed up. Hey, that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed this show. And if so, I'd love to invite you to subscribe and share this show with any other leader that you know that may enjoy it. Hey, if you like this show, come on back. Hope to see you tomorrow. And until then, run to your challenges. We'll see you.